Carol Baskin killed her husband, whacked him. Can't convince me that it didn't happen. Fed them to tigers, they snacking. What's happening? Carol Baskin. The Carol Baskin case has turned into a big media frenzy like the O.J. Simpson case. Many people had the suspicion that she was guilty of murder, but nothing could link Carol Baskin of committing murder. People speculate that she fed her husband, Jack Donald Lewis, to the tigers. Lewis disappeared on August 18, 1997, and was never found. The tigers that lived in their big cat sanctuary were owned by both husband and wife, but because of Lewis' disappearance, Baskin then became the CEO of the sanctuary. I became very intrigued with this case when it resurfaced. I found out about the case while being active on my social media and watching the Netflix series named Tiger's King, Murder, Mayhem, Madness, which mentions Carol Baskin's Jack Donald Lewis, aka the Tiger King, and Joe Exotic, a former competitor of the Tiger King. I believe Carol Baskin was a loving wife who supported her husband. An unfortunate event separated them. She took over what her and her husband built and carried on his legacy. I am credible for this speech due to my extensive research. I believe Carol Baskin is innocent because of lack of information concerning her guilt. Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin conflicts, and Don Lewis's lawyer had different claims of his disappearance. I will now speak about the lack of information concerning Carol Baskin's innocence. No leads could tie her for murder, regardless of any claim stated. According to the CBSNews.com website, family and friends of Donald Lewis said in the Netflix documentary series that they believe Carol Baskin could have a part in his murder. Since the series began to stream in March, Carol Baskin and Howard Baskin have denied rumors that have been circulating online. Carol Baskin said in a blog entry posted on Big Cat's Rescue. The series presents this without any regard for the truth, or in most cases even giving me an opportunity before publication to rebut the absurd claims. They did not care about the truth. Baskin commented in a post that 5 years ago she was approached by the series directors and was told that they would expose the misery caused by the rampant breeding of big cat cubs for cub petting exploitation and the awful life the cats led. A judge declared Don Lewis dead after 5 years of his disappearance. Carol Baskin was never arrested or charged. The lead homicide detective, John Marcino, stated in the series that there is absolutely no physical evidence at this point in time that would point at one particular individual. Now that we have discussed the lack of information concerning Carol Baskin, let's speak about Carol Baskin and Joe Exotic's conflicts. Joe Exotic's threats and attempted murder of Carol Baskin. As noted by the Newsweek.com website, Joe Exotic, a Tiger Park owner, bred tigers to later sell and increase consumer demand. Carol Baskin disagreed with how Joe operated and felt as if the animals were being abused. Carol Baskin wanted to end the confinement of the tigers. It was obvious that these two were dedicated to the operating of animal parks effectively, which caused great disputes. Carol Baskin spoke up about Joe Exotic's rivalry with her and how it impacted her life, also claiming that the threats made by Joe Exotic had been ongoing for about 10 years. All this came out when Joe Exotic attempted to murder Carol Baskin. Joe Exotic failed by mistakenly hiring an undercover FBI agent, offering to pay him $3,000. At his sentencing in January, Carol Baskin stated, "If he completes his sentence and is released, we will end up spending the rest of our lives constantly looking over our shoulders for a threat to our lives." Now that we have better understood Carol Baskin and Joe Exotic's conflicts, I will now speak about claims of Don Lewis' disappearance made by his lawyer. Joseph Fritz believed he was murdered. According to Daily.com website, Joseph Fritz, Don Lewis' lawyer, believes he was killed by strangulation, then thrown out of an airplane over the Gulf of Mexico. Joseph Fritz said, "What I had heard was that he was strangled from the back seat of an airplane over the Gulf of Mexico at 50 feet and dropped out over the Gulf." Don Lewis preferred to fly under radar because his pilot license had been revoked, noted by Joseph Fritz. The last sight of Donald Lewis was his abandoned vehicle found 40 miles from his cat sanctuary in the parking lot of Pilot County Airport in Springville, Florida. Joseph Fritz believes Donald Lewis was coerced to a private county airport, persuaded by a deal to buy an aircraft. Joseph Fritz described Don Lewis, he was terribly cheap. While he was very wealthy, he was cheap beyond belief. What would have lured him more than anything else is a good deal on an airplane. So that's what I assumed happened, that he got lured up into the Pilot County estates to look at an airplane. In conclusion, I have researched the innocence of Carol Baskin by mentioning the lack of leads that could tie her for murder regardless of any claims stated. Joe Exotis threats an attempted murder of Carol Baskin, and Joseph Fritz believes he was murdered. So next time you come to the inference that Carol Baskin killed her husband, make sure to do your research. Carol Baskin is not a murderer.